When I think back to how this book originally got started, it's really kind of funny. I was then teaching at Santa Fe Studios in Norman, Oklahoma, teaching children age 4 through adults. I decided to find a good textbook, and I had access to the library at the University of Oklahoma, so I went searching, couldn't find what I wanted, looked through all the bookstores, couldn't find something to recommend, called my sister, who was then working on her graduate degree at St. John's University in the mountains up above Santa Fe, and she worked at the John Gaw meme reference library there, and she couldn't find anything. And she had previously worked at the Nelson Atkins Art Reference Library in Kansas City, so they looked. We could not find anything. We found plenty of art history books and some chemistry of art books. And of course, you can always find the vanity books that are kind of like, hey, here's how you paint just like me. But in my experience, there's not an art student in the world who wants to learn how to paint just like somebody else. They want to paint like themselves if they know what they're about. So I finally just gave it up and wrote my own. And with all the good reference material I had at my disposal at OU, that I just would walk over there to the stacks and look up what I needed and go home and write it. So the original version was really just kind of a glorified stack of photocopies. At any rate, I think it's vastly improved over the years. That first edition came out in 1995, and since then, as I say, it's been constantly revised. And I have made an attempt to keep up with the technology of things like taking photos of your artwork, publishing your work online, and things like that. And it's been translated into French. And I think what we see here is by far a better version than what I first came out with. A lot of people who are great artists are not also great teachers. The ability to produce great art is not directly related at all to the ability to convey that information about how to into the mind of someone else. I have included a lot of great illustrations. In some cases, completed works of art, sometimes just a little quick sketch, sometimes photographs. This visual approach to making the material clear is really helpful. Everything useful that I could think of is included. In the discussion of tools, we also talk about the bigger tools, like your studio itself and your portfolio, and things like model stands and light plates and different kinds of easels. You can really save enormous amounts of money by taking my advice on this stuff. I also talk about really useful stuff like how to block watercolor paper, how to stretch your own canvas. When you go to a gallery and show them your work, if it's a work on canvas, one of the first things they do is turn it over to see if you stretched it yourself. They're not going to take you seriously if you use a store-bought canvas. So that's important to know how to do. How to prime your canvas, all that good stuff. We talk about color theory, and I just break it down really simple. And we talk about, things like color temperature and hue and chroma and value. And in design, we talk about things like the dividing up of a classical golden mean rectangle, where to put your focal point. We talk about use of line, good composition, pattern. And then there's a chapter on light, natural light when you're outdoors, light indoors, different ways, different metaphors for shadow that can be used. Very interesting, good stuff. And then in motives, we talk about things like the difference between non-representational and abstract art, which is very misused. Not to be missed, of course, is the chapter on painting techniques. One of the most useful things in this book is just a method for moving through the painting. Where do you start and where do you go from there, and how do you know when you're done? To me, presentation is of paramount importance. Something I see amateurs do all the time is, they'll spend any amount of time and effort on a painting and then slap a garage sale frame on it. You're shooting yourself in the foot by not allowing your work to shine. We talk about varnishing, we talk about archival quality techniques, we talk about how to hang artwork, all kinds of great stuff. The chapter on marketing is fabulously useful also. How to polarize light and take your own photos, how to write your own press release, invitations, title boards, how to shop for a gallery, how to price your work, how to deal with rejection, just all the basic stuff. And then, of course, I find the glossary particularly helpful. If you forget what a word means, or you're unfamiliar with it, or you run across it in your reading, you just can look it up. It's a wonderful thing. In the appendices, my favorite is the suggested reading, about a dozen books that will help you out. Worth the price of the book in and of itself is the appendix that talks about suppliers, where to get stuff, who's good to deal with. And these are people I've done business with over the years and have found to be reliable. Information about copywriting, shipping, printers, good workshops to go to, where to get art materials, presentation supplies, who will reproduce your slides for you. In her excellent book, The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron writes about how creating art is a tribal activity. How do you know if you might really be an artist? Well, if you got in trouble as a child for drawing on the walls, if you still remember or anticipate your first trip to an art museum, if the smell of oil paint entices you, if the lines of a running horse or a bird in flight mesmerize you, if you want more purple out of life, if you want to learn how to really see, if the idea of having your own studio seems like bliss beyond the lot of mortals, if you're haunted by beauty and yearnings for you know not what, if you sometimes, almost, just barely, when you're really alone, dare to dream that you might really have a gift, but are afraid that that mean teacher who said you're a no talent might be right, then I have good news for you. You have found your tribe. You are an artist, and there lies within you the potential for greatness, even if you've not yet found out how to harness it. Let's take those old, possibly forlorn dreams out of the trunk in your soul's attic, dust them off, and let them shine. Let's let you shine. I wrote this book to put the tools in your hands that will let you express the gift within you. It's not my intent to try to teach you to paint like me, but to paint like only you can. I invite you to join me on what may be the voyage of discovery of your life, discovering who you were meant to be and what you were born to do. Take your seat around the tribal fire and let's begin. I hope by this time you're very curious about obtaining a copy. There's several ways to go about that. You can buy a copy from Amazon.com and just look for The Mechanics of Art by Katherine Gordon Rice. Or, if you prefer, you can get a PDF version, which you can download off my website at gordongalleries.com. Also on my website, you can download a free sample chapter to see if you like it first. You can also sign up for a quarterly e-newsletter called the Pentimento. You can download your free PDF version of the Gordon Galleries Guide to Collecting Fine Art. I hope it helps you, and I've tried to make it fun. Enjoy.